Saints Row 5 is one of the most highly anticipated and worst kept secrets in the gaming industry at the moment. If you aren't familiar with Saints Row, it's an open world action adventure game series developed by Volition and published by Deep Silver. Saints Row 4 was released back in 2013, so it's been a long time coming for a true sequel for fans of the franchise. This video is an update or part 2 to my original video on Saints Row 5, so make sure to check that out and then come back to this video. The first one's only 6 minutes, so check it out or not, doesn't matter, but all the sources will be posted in the description below, so make sure to check those out as well and support those writers. And with that, let's get into Saints Row 5. So as a quick recap, Volition took some time off developing Saints Row and decided to make Agents of Mayhem, which confused fans and critics alike whether this game was meant as an evolution of the Saints Row series or something completely new. As time has passed, more and more community members have looked more fondly on the game, but it didn't stop the need for a Saints Row 5. From the interviews and details we know of Saints Row 5, it started development sometime after Volition was done with Agents of Mayhem. During this time as well, Deep Silver was acquired by THQ Nordic, and it was announced in an interview that in 2019, more information about Saints Row 5 would be coming in 2020. And a THQ earnings report teased a release sometime late 2020 or early 2021. And that gets us up to all the recent news, and that was a quick recap on the first video. In April of 2020, it was announced that a Saints Row the Third remaster would be coming to current gen consoles and PC. But with this release, some fans were confused if Volition was working on this remaster instead of Saints Row 5, and one community member made a post on Twitter without tagging Saints Row or any of the official accounts, and still got a response from the actual verified Saints Row account. The original post said, "We didn't ask for a Saints Row remastered game. We want a brand new game with no extra alien." And the Saints Row account actually responded saying, quote, "A new Saints Row game is in development from @Volition. The Saints Row the Third remaster is being done by Spearsoft." Now, they had already confirmed that the game was coming up to this point, but it's nice to hear it again from the source that they're continuing to work on it and that no resources from Volition were used on this remaster, which is usually the case for some of these higher profile remaster jobs. It also might be worth pointing out that they don't say exactly Saints Row 5, they just say a new Saints Row game is in development. It probably means nothing, but it could mean something as well, and I'll leave that up to you guys to decide for yourselves. Then THQ Nordic has been teasing Saints Row in their earnings report. In one of the 2020 reports, they announced that they have 118 games in development and will start to release AAA games every year, which is definitely a category that Saints Row 5 fits into. Also, under the selected upcoming release category on the report, they show a Saints Row logo. Mind you, this was after the Saints Row 3rd remaster was released, but it isn't too surprising that an upcoming Saints Row game is coming past Saints Row the 3rd, but they don't have an updated logo or anything like that. It's an old logo in Volition's logo. And once again, it just kind of adds to the information that they still haven't come out and directly said this is Saints Row 5. In another report from Embracer Group and THQ Nordic, it was announced that the next Saints Row game and other AAA games have been delayed to the next fiscal year, which now means instead of a late 2020 or early 2021 release, now the game is looking like it won't be released until sometime between April 1st, 2021 and March 31st, 2022, which does make sense. It's not that much longer. Now we're just looking at mid to late 2021 and early 2022. THQ Nordic did not directly say the game was delayed, but announced the titles that would be coming out before March 31st, 2021, and Saints Row was not listed. And because they said they were not releasing any AAA games until next fiscal year, and Saints Row once again fits in that AAA game category, it just lines up that it wasn't announced as something that's coming out before 2021 in March, and they said they weren't releasing any other surprise AAA games, so it makes sense. They aren't going to lie to their investors. This is what's going to happen, and Saints Row has probably been pushed out of this time frame. Now let's talk about the big leak that happened in September of 2020 and everyone has covered. The leak comes from an anonymous person on 4chan and it was broken down in a few separate categories like story setup, gameplay, graphics, and miscellaneous. The user starts with saying the new Saints Row has been in development for the past 2 to 3 years, which we know is true due to the release of Agents of Mayhem. And they say the game is set to be unveiled in the next year, which is not completely true. The game was set to be revealed sometime in 2020, but because of COVID and everything else that happened, we know that this is not the case, so it's already getting in some gray area with this leak and some of the accuracy of what they're claiming. Let's continue on anyways. So the story summary says, quote, "It's going to be a continuation of Saints Row 3's plot. Saints Row 4 and Gat Out of Hell got retconned as a crazy in-universe TV show. The plot is about how the Saints become an evil corporation similar to Altor. You are playing as a new protagonist with a new cast to support you as you go against the old Saints cast. Main antagonists are old Saints, but also other gangs. One of them was a motorcycle gang called the Wolf Pack. There are some other story-related choices you can make. For example, you can ally with a gang to go against the Saints. All of the old Saints are there except for Gat, who is kept dead, which is mentioned as part of the reason why the Saints become soulless corporate bullies. The old boss, the player character from the previous games, now wears a cool looking mask, but that mask makes their voice muffled in tactical body armor, so their look is open to interpretation. Side note, that's most likely due to all the different customizations we had when we played as this character, so it is their way, or it's a good idea of hiding the identity and keeping it up in the player's mind. The game is set in modern Stillwater, the OG city from 1 and 2, but it's been massively expanded and it has way more countryside and new islands. Tone is a middle ground between 1, 2, and 3. There are no superpowers, and the game has a thing where it feels like you're seeing the old Saints from the perspective of an average NPC, extreme versions of their Saints Row 3 selves basically. Old Saints never cared about hurting innocent people, which plays a big role in building the Saints as this evil gang. Next, the leak continues on with gameplay, which says character customization is similar to Saints Row 2. You can wear clothing pieces in multiple ways. Sliders are there for each body part this time, so you can go all the way in creating weird monstrosities. Censorship is changed, and this time it's a black bar that has swinging physics. Note from me, Volition actually wanted to do this with Saints Row 3, but couldn't because of coding issues and time constraints. Nice to see the real gen edition make its way in. Weapon customization isn't linear anymore like it was in Saints Row 4. You can put different scopes and camos and switch between ammo types. 4-player co-op with difficulty scaling to number of players. Multiplayer will be 32-player free roam gang warfare with activities like deathmatch, activating dynamically in the world so you can drive around the map and then get a pop-up from the game that invites you and the rest of the players to participate in a deathmatch. If your gang wins deathmatch, you'll gain small territory as part of a bigger region in the particular lobby. This won't be global, so each lobby will have different territories controlled by different gangs. No destructible environments, but physics felt a lot better. For example, ragdolls weren't floaty anymore like Saints Row 4, and driving felt closer to GTA 5. Now I am gonna stop. All of this, honestly, the story part I believed, it sounds like there could be some realness in there, and a lot of fans have been asking for a more grounded approach again and getting back to kind of what made Saints Row 1 and 2 really special. But when they start to talk about multiplayer, especially 32-player deathmatches and even 4-player co-op, that doesn't sound super Saints Row and like what Volition would do. I think they've already tried this before, and this is when it starts to sound more and more fake. The next category is graphics, which says it's like Saints Row 3 remastered, but better, not cartoony at all, no destructible environments, but physics felt a lot better. They also continue on and close out with the miscellaneous information. They say the game is in a playable early state. Volition have invited tons of people from the Saints Row community and some YouTube influencers to check it out who are all under NDA. They might show some trailers this year, but it isn't coming out until late 2021 or even 2022. Now, one thing they did get right is that release that we just talked about. It does look like now it won't be 2021 or 2022, but once again, that's public information and we don't need an insider to tell us that. Trailers also seem weird to come out this early, and I think a lot of people have already written off this year as we won't see anything, considering PlayStation and Xbox have had all their big events and Saints Row was absent. Also, the game being in an early playable state somewhat makes sense. We know it's been playable for a while now because I covered that in the last video, that we knew influencers were checking it out and playing it, but we just aren't sure how early of a state, and I think it's further along than what this post is giving it credit for. And the next day, notable gaming insider Shinobi602 actually debunked the rumor on Reset Era, and if that wasn't enough, the senior PR manager at Deep Silver came out and debunked this rumor in a tweet as well. He said, quote, "Sorry to be that guy, but this info is not correct. I definitely can't wait to share what's next for Saints, but this isn't it." And it's kind of like what I said, some of the information was true, and that's what makes these lies, leaks, and rumors even better. Some members of the community have been invited by the studio to see what they've been working on. Also, the fact that Shinobi said that he knew this was false implies that there are people out there who know what the game is actually about, the plot of the game, or what to kind of expect, or at least they know enough about the game to know this description isn't true, which backs up it is in a further spot. The game's being developed, there are people who know details about the game out there. And even Shinobi says that he does not expect to see anything of the next Saints Row in this year, which makes sense because of COVID and a seeming delay for the game. They have a lot more time, and why rush out something if they are still working on it? I'd say the earliest we will see the game announced is probably mid next year and released sometime after that, just so it stays in fans' minds fresh and they aren't constantly teasing it and fans are waiting years for it to come out. And for what the game is actually about, the current consensus still points to a possible reboot of sorts that will bring Saints Row back to the roots of a street gang and that works their way up. There's really no concrete leaks or info to support this, but we have seen a ton of series lately do soft reboots like the Arkham Batman series and Fable, but who really knows? We hopefully don't have to wait too much longer to wait and see what the new Saints Row is, and if it is a reboot and just called Saints Row, or if they decide to go the traditional route and keep with the numbering and call this Saints Row 5. Either way, I'm excited to see what Volition has been working on. That's where I'm going to end this video. Subscribe for deep dives on all your favorite series, like and share this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.